Welcome to the Pew Pew Nation podcast. Pew Pew Nation's a group of unapologetically American patriots breaking the politically correct mold, and we just don't care. We're not afraid to dive headfirst into the most controversial topics, gun talk, and call out the woke culture along the way. We get to talk to some very cool people and hear incredible stories and get to share those with you. So lock and load and get ready for the Pew Pew Nation podcast.
Showtime! Woo! 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 Silent and profiling! Woo! Woo! Stop! We can't take anymore!
What's going on, everybody?
What's happening?
Pew Pew Nation podcast, episode 3.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Who are we talking to today?
Yeah, so today we have a guest, which I'm excited. This is our first guest on Pew Pew Nation podcast since we haven't been Pew Pew Nation Live. We've been the podcast, which is pre-recorded now. So we have a special guest that Chris and I both know pretty well now and are kind of heavily invested in, which is kind of cool.
True, yeah.
Alan Beal from Armed Forces Brewing Company. So Alan's going to join us here in just a minute and talk about Armed Forces Brewing, what they're doing, all that good stuff, what the company is all about in case you don't know who Armed Forces Brewing Company is. And before he joins us, though, like Chris, tell everybody what Armed Forces is for us, what we're doing with Armed Forces.
Well, with Armed Forces, basically, they're a badass an American beer company that deals with the Armed Forces, obviously. But what we're doing is we're taking the apparel and making their hats, sweatshirts, T-shirts, and then also warehousing for them and shipping, to handling the fulfillment aspect of it. So.
Heck yeah. So, yes, we are doing American-made apparel for Armed Forces Brewing Company.
Apparel, American-made everything, yep. So,
for an American
badass
brewery.
American beer company, correct.
Hell yeah. So, pretty cool. We're excited. I'm excited to talk to Alan. I haven't seen him it's been about a year, right? Since we were
down in, whatever.
Where were we, West Virginia?
Roanoke.
Something, yeah.
Nokesville, Virginia, somewhere out in the middle of
somewhere
nowhere.
over there, yeah. In the middle of nowhere, we're surrounded by tanks and explosives and
tanks and
badassery.
Yeah, it was cool. Love it. Out in the middle of nowhere.
Hell yeah. Cool. Well, let's bring Alan in here and we will talk to him and find out more about Armed Forces Brewing.
All right. Come on in, Alan. No, wait a minute. Now we can edit. We have the ability to edit, right?
We have the ability to edit.
I was like,
Alan is going to be joining us on a Zoom call.
Oh, wait
He's not in this room, Chris, just in case.
All right.
What's in that coffee? What's in there?
Just coffee.
You sure?
Yes.
You sure?
Gosh, my allergies are bad today, and I itched my eye. Now I'm in trouble because I was.
Oh, boy. Now he's got pink eye, too.
Yeah. And it's funny, I'm driving on the way here going, I need to take a Zyrtec today.
Oh,
and I didn't do it because the problem was I itch and then I'm done for.
Then you're done. All right, let's bring Alan in on a Zoom call.
Oh, never mind. Alan, don't come on in.
All right. What's going on, Alan? How are you?
Doing good, Andy and Chris. Thanks for having me on.
No
yeah,
problem.
for sure, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
You're our first guest on Pew Pew Nation podcast, so.
It's always been live. Well, it's always been live.
Oh,
We've never really had a chance to get guests, but now we have the ability to edit and.
I'm honored.
So yeah, we did like 130 something episodes live, and then we switched to the pre-recorded type of deal. So
Cool.
yeah, timing doesn't work when you have a scheduled live show. It just doesn't happen.
No.
You know how that is.
Yeah.
So, go introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are and what you're all about for those that don't know who Alan Beal is and Armed Forces. And all
Sure.
that.
Well, I'm Alan Beal. I'm the CEO of Armed Forces Brewing Company. We're a military and first responder tribute craft beer brewing company. And, we're making beers that tribute the service of our awesome men and women in the military and in law enforcement. And we've got an award-winning brewmaster who's an owner and our chief brewing officer, and Bob Ruprecht. Rob O'Neill, who former Navy SEAL from SEAL Team 6, is our partner as well. And we've got a great advisory board of some pretty cool military members from around the country that have done incredible things in their service and in their civilian life as well.
Very awesome. Heck yeah.
Well, how did you get, speaking of when you're talking about Rob O'Neill, how did you actually get hooked up with Rob? Like, how did that actually work?
Boy, that's a story. I'll kind of answer a couple of questions here. We'll start with how this came about. I have been in the food and beverage industry for 35 plus years. I've built probably 45 plus bars, restaurants, nightclubs, a brewery, a distillery in my food and beverage career, and around the country. And I was in Washington, D.C. doing a bar rescue at a really old bar called Chief Ike's Mambo Room over in D.C. And they had filmed what was that movie with Will Smith, Empire of the State or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Where something like that, where he runs through this bar and it's Chief Ike's Mambo Room. Anyway, this bar had been around for 40 years. It was going under. It was a college dive bar, kind of combined with hippies, if you will. And I was doing a Guinness beer promotion there, and a buddy of mine introduced me to two guys, Amit Rupani and Jason Bailey, who are deaf. They graduated from Gallaudet University. And if you live in DC, everybody goes to Annapolis, Maryland, where the Naval Academy is. They go there on the weekends, hang out on the waterfront, go and eat at all the bars and restaurants. But they had no beer presence there. They probably had one, they had one Federal House or something like that over there that served beer. So these two guys, I talked to them at this event, and they said, hey, we go all over the country to these brewery openings. We love craft beer. But we have an idea for a concept to make beers that tribute Navy service. And we want to put it in Annapolis. We don't know what to do. Where do we go from here? We think we have a great idea. What do we do? And that's what I did. And coming from a military family, I grew up, my dad was stationed at Strategic Air Command in Omaha. And he went after his service in the Air Force. He went to the Air National Guard in Missouri, in St. Joe there. So I lived on those bases growing up, as did my siblings. And I had, a couple uncles that are Marines. My other uncle taught at West Point and served in Vietnam. And I had three cousins that graduated from West Point as well. So my brother's in the Air Force. He's now with DHS. So we're a huge military family that came from Nebraska. So I got it. And I already was in the food and beverage industry. So I pulled into Annapolis, Maryland. I told them that I would take them on as a client. I pulled into Annapolis, Maryland. My grandfather had served in the Navy, but I'd never seen the Naval Academy, right there. Yeah. So I pulled into Annapolis, saw the Naval Academy, and the light switch went on. I mean, I heard the thunder and saw the lightning, and I went, this is going to be huge, and the ideas started going on. I started designing beer cans and learning about the Naval Academy culture with the mids and everything, and started developing these beers. And we had zero investment money, zero money to do this. So I saw the potential. I literally sold everything I owned and moved to Maryland. I knew it was going to be huge. So I'm creating all these beers and I'm putting them out. I created the social media accounts, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I started putting these ideas out on social media. Well, before I knew it, all these veterans and active duty from all over the country and Japan and Guam, this is cool. Where's the beer? I want it now. And we didn't have anything. It was all, test marketing stuff. And I had tagged Rob O'Neill on a bunch of these posts because the first beer that I designed was a tribute to the elite Navy SEALs, which is called Special Hops IPA. And it was probably a good year and a half. I was tagging O'Neill on this stuff on Twitter. And finally, after a year and a half, he actually liked one of my tweets. It took me that long. So I decided I was going to DM him on Twitter and say, dude, you really gotta check this out. But by then, we got a little seed money, I think, and we contracted the brew out of Peabody Heights Brewery in Baltimore, Maryland. So, and we did a little launch party on December 28th of 2017 with the beer. We made a small batch. It was probably about 400 cases of beer, got it out to some local stores in Annapolis through Peabody's licensing. And they did all the packaging, but I had recruited Bob Ruprecht to come into the partnership, he's won the Maryland Governor's Cup for brewing excellence. So he was just looking around and found an ad I put on Pro Brewer or something like that. Said, hey, I'm interested in this. So he came under the ownership. So it's me, Jason Ahmet, and Bob Ruprecht in this ownership. So I'm putting this stuff out. We make a beer. We have a launch party in Annapolis for Special Hops IPA. It was the Military Bowl where Virginia played Navy. Navy kicked their ass 52-7, and I have a story about that too. We launched a tasting over at Mills Fine Wine and Spirits in downtown Annapolis, and it was 11 degrees outside. It was cold as balls. And they had the parade coming through, the Military Bowl parade, and the mids and all that good kind of stuff. And so we're at this tasting. And then when the tasting ended, we moved over to Dock Street Bar and Grill at their upstairs and had a party and invited some people. Well, the comptroller of the state of Maryland showed up. The mayor showed up of Annapolis, and Travis Pastrana showed up with his entourage too. And they all had Seawolf. It was Seawolf Brewery back then. It was just Navy service is what it was. And so we launched the beer, and I had DM'd Rob, and I said, you got to try this beer, because the beer was just absolutely killer. Bob knocked it out of the ballpark with the Special Hops recipe. And O'Neill was swimming with sharks over in California doing a show for Shark Week for National Geographic or something like that. But he actually DM'd me back, and he goes, okay, this is really kind of cool. And he was hesitant about giving me his address. I said, I want to send you a 6-pack of this, Well, okay. And I go, here's my email address. Check me out, because I'm sure Rob O'Neill gets a ton of, woo.
Yeah, exactly.
And he gave me an address. I don't know. I think it might have been a neighbor's address or something like that. And I sent him a 6-pack of beer. Well, Jessica O'Neill intercepted the package, his wife. And she opened the package and tasted the beer. She immediately texted Rob and said, this beer is fucking kick ass. You got to get it. So next thing I know, Rob O'Neill is texting me, because I gave him my phone number. I hadn't heard from him. He probably gets a lot of requests like this. And he said, dude, my wife tasted the beer. She said it's freaking great. And if my wife says the beer's great, it's got to be good. So he said, I'm in. I was like, no shit. So Rob O'Neill joined the ownership, the partnership. And that's the story of how we got Rob O'Neill through Twitter.
That's crazy.
So
There you go.
That's wild.
It's persistent.
Yeah, exactly. Persistence.
So Rob came on, and before you know it, the airmen and soldiers and Coast Guardsmen were all hitting us up. Well, where's our beer? Where's our beer? Where's our beer? And then we developed. It was kind of a mistake, actually, but we developed Soldier Brewery for Army, Jarhead Brewery for Marines, Airman Brewery for Air Force. And so we had all these different breweries developed, and the idea was not only to make these beers that tributed the service of each branch, but to open tap rooms. Like you'd open a soldier brewery near an Army base, you'd open Airman Brewery near an Air Force base. But then Walmart came calling. We had applied for their open call, Walmart's open call. And, so many suppliers, they have like 300 suppliers for these open calls that apply for this. And you get 30 minutes with the buyers there, and that's all you get. And probably, I don't know, 70% get turned down. 70% of suppliers get turned down. Well, John Galante, our national director of sales, and I went on this Walmart open call. It's a 30-minute Zoom call, like what we're doing right now with the merchants. And we had, right after the Walmart merchant, we had the Sam's Club merchant to do. So we went and pitched to the Walmart merchant, and boy, they okay, we're bringing you on right there on the call, which was, unheard of. We were like, oh my God, it was huge for us. And then same thing with the Sam's Club merchant. We went through that half-hour presentation with them, and boom, they brought us on there too. But we had test marketed the beers at the Annapolis Navy Exchange store, which is a pretty decent volume Navy Exchange store. And we launched with Special Hops, and we launched with Cat Shot, and on October 13th of 2018. And the reason why I give you that date is because we only have half the month for sales. Okay. We sold at #1 out of 300 plus craft SKUs that month in October.
Wow.
Cat Shot sold #1, Special Hops sold #3 out of their 300 craft SKUs that they have on the shelves. We knew we had something really special then, you guys, you know what I mean? And we kept selling in the top 24 craft SKUs month after month after month, hitting #1 and #3 or whatever for multiple months. We knew we had something special. So that's the story of how we got started. But Walmart told us that all these brands were too confusing for the consumers. So we decided to scrap the Soldier, the Airman, the Jarhead, all that stuff, and put it all under one umbrella. Armed Forces Brewing Company is what we did. And
Makes
boom.
sense. Yeah,
That's cool.
that's awesome.
That's a long-winded answer, but it's
Hey, I like it. That's awesome.
Yeah, we got
So
that.
what with the Walmart stuff, can you explain a little bit more of how that is working, I guess? Because
Sure.
I heard like the Walmart, I heard this before, obviously from Chris, before I even I was introduced to you. But like, how's that distributorship actually work? Like, what is the apparel going in there? Is it just the beer? Is it going in every Walmart across the country?
Yeah.
How does it work?
So by then we had scaled out distribution down to Florida. And we were in the process of getting one of our Florida distributors over the Panhandle has a distributorship in Alabama. So they could grab the beer in Florida and ship it to their distributorship in Alabama. We could open up that state. Well, Walmart liked that idea that we were in. By then we were in Florida, we were in Texas, we were opening up Alabama. Okay. Maryland, our home base at that time, was not a chain state, so you couldn't put your beer in any Walmarts there or anything like that. So what they did was they designated a store list. They said, we're going to put you in these 400 stores. I think it was 200 stores when we first started.
Right.
We're going to put you in these 200 stores in Florida, in Texas. And when you open up Alabama, when you open up other states, we'll flip the switch on and you can go into those stores too.
Gotcha.
Now they always want to test run you and see if you're going to sell and all that good kind of stuff. But we sold, man. Our beer was selling. So now it's whenever we open a state, we go back to the merchant at Walmart and they flip the switch on for their stores there, and their buyers at those stores can purchase our beer and put it on the shelves. And that's the way it works with. Yeah, that's the way it works with Winn-Dixie, with most of these retail chains, big chains. Publix picked up all of 4 of our SKUs. We're going into Publix. And while, I think we're up past 700 stores they're going to put us in. This is all in the works right now. We're still getting the list of stores to go into. And they're just going to, we're opening up Georgia, we're opening up South Carolina. That's part of that Publix footprint. So we're going immediately into Florida Publix, Tennessee Publix, Alabama Publix, and branching out.
The big question. The big question, I think, us northern folks are sitting here wondering is, because I hear you saying Alabama, Florida, all these other southern. When do you think, or is there any anticipation on when you think you're actually going to get it up here? Because I can guarantee you, if you put your beer in every store up here, it would be sold out.
Oh God, yeah.
Absolutely. So, part of the business model here was to find our own, or to acquire our own brewing facility on the East Coast, which is why we launched, our public stock offering. I'm sure you guys want to get into that here later on, but and we did just that. We did exactly what we promised our shareholders. We literally just acquired a new brewing facility in Norfolk, Virginia. The largest naval market in the country, with the largest Navy base and veteran community and active duty community. And we just took it over like 2 weeks ago. This is week 2 right here. So we've moved in. So we're going to produce beer here for North Carolina on up the eastern seaboard and over to your guys' neck of the woods over there, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and all that, and open up those states.
Right.
So we're just getting started. We know from talking with you guys that it's such a great market up there for us, and we think we're going to do really well. And we just had so much interaction and people contacting us from Michigan and Wisconsin, when are you coming? We want your beer. We want it now. So we're excited to get it up there.
It's awesome. We're excited to have it up here.
Yeah. I don't even drink beer anymore.
Yeah,
so
he doesn't even drink.
And like I said, I'm sure you guys will come up with some really cool, like non-alcoholic beers that are not just your run-of-the-mill, like your crappy watered down crap you get from the store. I guess I've had some really good craft, like IPAs and some other different ones that are difficult to brew non-alcoholic, and they're pretty good. So I'm sure you guys will handle that one.
Guys, brewing technology has just, escalated and catapulted to new heights. And, you've seen it out there. You can now get a true zero beer now and remove all the alcohol. You can get rid of that 0.05% even in there. And we've got a beer coming out. It's a true zero. It's called About Face, about face away from alcohol. And we can't wait to get that out. That market segment in beer industry is just growing like big time, non-alcoholic beverages. But it's not just about that. It's being able to offer a product to our veterans and active duty who don't want to drink alcohol. They can have a beer with us that do, drink alcoholic beer, and maybe get, veterans that may be experiencing severe PTSD who can't touch alcohol. This will be a product that they can drink in confidence, and celebrate with all of us that do.
It's awesome. So I got to ask you, you talked about the non-alcoholic name of the beer. Who comes up with these names and who does your artwork for your cans? Because I love it. I've taken pictures of a lot of your beer, a lot of your products, and the cans are they got it going on. They're just awesome.
All around. Yep.
Well, thanks. And I'll tell you what, I'm gonna take me. I'm the guy who spent, I wasn't a Photoshop guy. I learned how to take backgrounds out of photographs and kind of, manipulate them a little bit. And I was using Microsoft Publisher to do this stuff with. So I've been the idea and the designer behind that, and then I pass my vision over to a graphics guy who puts them in Photoshop and cleans them up and gets them, pristine. But it is so much fun to create those things, especially when you can use military graphics and all that stuff. It's a lot more fun than a lot of other beer companies have making their labels.
Oh,
it's
I can
a
imagine.
lot of fun.
Like I said, your labels are awesome. The cans are fantastic. Like every one of them that I've
Thank you.
showed friends and things like that, they're all like, "God, the can is so cool!" Like people want to buy it because of the can.
Yeah.
It's just a really cool.
And I'm gonna grab one here. When I created these, I created a branding strategy which has the title going vertical on each can, in our logo there, and then you've got this really cool artwork here with military graphics that a veteran or active duty person can connect to. And there's all sorts of details in this stuff. We have a banner on each can that talks about what service the beer tributes, because that's what we're doing. This is Cat Shot Lager. This is a tribute to Top Guns and those aircraft carrier personnel, especially the deck crews. There's 4,500 to 5,000 people serving on an aircraft carrier. And we even put the different colors of the deck crew on here because they all wear separate colors based on what job they're doing. So there's so much more detail that goes into these cans than people realize, I think. And that's just the detail and the tribute, that we're doing for these service members.
That's awesome.
And yeah.
So when are you coming out with your woke can to keep up with Bud Light?
I'll tell you what, we're just gonna keep doing what we do, and making beers that tribute that individual service. We've got Grunt for soldiers. It's a 9.0 ABV double IPA that's incredible. We got special hops for the SEALs, and we're just going to keep making those beers that tribute the services and not get into all that other social justice and these different labels and all that kind of stuff. We're just not going there. That's not who we're about. And it's too bad that these iconic American brands are some of them aren't even American brands anymore. They're owned by foreign companies that are going down this route. We're not doing it.
Yeah.
We're not going there.
I love it.
It's about patriotism and, our service members.
Yeah.
I heard you mention on Fox News the other day, a couple weeks ago, you're talking about how you're using it was a Michigan-based veteran hops. How cool is it? Like, so you're using veteran-owned companies. I know for a fact, being me and being that we're doing the apparel here, but is that something that you're doing all around, looking to?
You betcha. And you know what? That Dog Star Hops is the veteran-owned company or grower up there in Michigan, and we use their crystal hop in our preamble. We the People Light Session Lager. This is a great, refreshing, low alcohol content beer. Yeah, man. We want to keep the production and keep it in the military community as much as we can. So we want to collaborate and buy assets and resources from veteran-owned companies.
Perfect.
That's what we're about. That's the mission, man.
You're making me thirsty. You showed my two favorite beers so far. So
I'm telling you what, that
Yeah.
veteran grower is growing a superior crystal hop.
That's
Superior.
awesome. That is
The
awesome.
power of American made, man.
Heck
American
yeah.
grown.
So what is the American made aspect? I mean, what does that mean to you? Like, obviously you're all about it clearly, as we are. What is that like? How far do you want to take that American made, I guess, with the company?
Tell you what, I got a lot to say about that subject. I am a firm believer China is an adversary, and what we are reading about and hearing, not only on the news but in conversations in our government and all that kind of stuff about the Chinese buying up American farmland and businesses and real estate and if you take a look at all the things in your home and what you spend money on every day, they're all made in China or another foreign company. I think it's awful. I think it's un-American, and I think we need more American manufacturing businesses. There needs to be a huge revival, and it brings me back to when I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina back in the 90s. All of those textile manufacturing companies, their facilities were empty and tumbleweeds all over that North Carolina area. Used to Spring Industries, they were making fabric and all that stuff right here in the USA. And all those jobs took off and went overseas. And I just think it's shameful. And we need to put our people back to work. We need to be making stuff here in America. And that's why we're partnering with Chris's company, Freedom Fatigues, 100% American made products. And I think everybody needs to get on that bandwagon. There needs to be a huge revival of made in America and get away from this China stuff.
Yep, 100% with you. Yeah, and I honestly think it's kind of coming. It seems like it's been going that direction. I mean, with you guys, being so big in the brewing industry now, and then, just working with Chris and Freedom Fatigues, and I've seen just this giant, like the insurgent of American made coming back, and that actually meaning something to people and people understanding that, because it got to a point where it was like, I feel like everybody was, oh, it's too expensive. It's American made. It's too expensive. It's too expensive. And now it's like there's value there, and people are starting to see that again.
I mean, the value of the American made part of it's bigger than just that's made in the US. I mean, we got to go on a little factory tour and go and see where our hats are made, where our patches are made, and then see who's employed, who's getting a job, and who's like, why are they employed? They're employed because we're making hats. And that's why they have a job. So that's you get to see that, and that's kind of neat to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. We want to, yeah, we're asking the same thing, okay, so where are these cans made in? Are they made in America, or are they made in China? If they're made in China, we ain't buying them. You know what I mean? These companies got to put their foot down on this stuff. And I get it. Everybody's got to watch their bottom line. I totally get it. You got to run a profitable business. But still, man, we're just, 100% American made. We want to go there and keep the money right here in our country.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Definitely.
Well,
so you're obviously you drink a lot of beer because this is what you do. What's your favorite beer that you guys brew?
Man, I'll tell you what. We just came out with that Grunt. That 9.0 ABV double IPA, and it is incredible. It's now my favorite beer that we make. It is just for an IPA. You struggle through those IPA. Special hops is incredible too. That's the way we made it. We got tired of going to Navy tailgates and struggling on an IPA. And Bob is just, he's America's brewmaster. I know it sounds biased because he's my brother in beer and everything, but he is just an incredible brewmaster and just has incredible recipes behind his belt. So right now I went for the big stuff. the 9.0
Yeah.
deal. And it's not because it's 9.0, the taste of our double IPA is absolutely incredible. And then I think it's probably our Cat Shot American Craft Lager. It would be my second favorite because it's kind of that it's a prohibition style. We use a little maize in the brewing process, so it's got a little bit of corn sweetness in that. It is incredible with food. That's the beer you want to eat with seafood, with crab cakes and oysters, and even a burger or something like that. It's just an incredible beer. They're all good, I would say if one of our beers was, but they're all good. We're really proud of our liquid, all of them.
Good.
I like it. So explain the investment portion of it. So I invested. I went to the event out there in where the heck were we? Nokesville or
Virginia.
At the tank farm. And I was blown away. Like, I knew the company, obviously. I knew that Chris and Freedom Fatigues were doing the apparel and all that good stuff. And they needed some help. Yep, they needed some help out there. So I was like, sure, I'll go out, check it out, and see what it's all about. And I've always been a big, military supporter, veteran supporter with what I do with Pew Pew Nation and my writing with the magazines and all that good stuff. I love highlighting military stuff. So I was like, let's go check this out and see what it's all about. Well, I also work on a writer's budget. I don't have that much income coming in all the time. So Chris is trying to get me to invest, and he's like, you got to invest, even if it's the minimum, the $200 minimum, you got to invest. I'm telling you. And I'm like, whatever, I'll go out there and see what this is all about. And I think the first night we were out there, we had been talking to you, we had dinner and met all these people that are involved and all these veterans that believed in the company and just gravitated towards you guys. And I went back to the hotel room and immediately invested. Like I had to. So I've tried to explain this to a lot of my friends, and a lot of my friends don't seem to understand the concept of how your investment works right now. So maybe you can explain that better.
Sure. So we wanted to be able to share this with our veteran community. How do we get people? We had to raise capital, obviously. We wanted to go and acquire a brewing facility. We were contract brewing, and contract brewing is a dead end. It's not profitable in the long run. And we wanted to get our beer there. So we did all this test marketing. We proved we could scale this puppy out and grow this company, but we needed to raise capital. The venture capital community was not, funding craft beer breweries. The craft beer bubble burst. COVID had hit by then too. No one was investing money. The VCs were investing money in technology, if you will. And I don't get that, because so many technology companies have gone under, where did all their millions, $30 million went to this technology company and they went under in, 2 years, all that kind of stuff. So, but I wanted to find a way to be able for everyone to be able to own a piece of the company. How do we create this veteran, military, first responder community? And I was looking all over for an idea on how to do this. And I ran across a craft beer company called BrewDog. BrewDog is a $2 billion craft beer company. 2 guys from Scotland and their dog that started brewing beer out of their garage. They're now a $2 billion company. And they've got 4, I think, facilities on 4 continents. And they've got 30, 35 tap rooms around the world and all that good kind of stuff. Well, they found a program in 2012 that was put in place by the Obama administration called Regulation A by the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. And basically what it is, you're a private company, you're selling stock, but you're crowdfunding is what you're doing. Well, BrewDog has raised about $200 million so far through these Regulation A. They've got over 250,000 shareholders in their company who are brand ambassadors, out there, and they've got this huge community. So I'm looking through their SEC circular going, wow, this is super cool. This is exactly what I want to do with Armed Forces Brewing Company. Bring the veteran community in and own a piece of this stuff. Because you could buy a share in BrewDog for $46 or something like that. Or they had a minimum, really low minimum. I'm like, wow, that's affordable, you know? So I looked down the circular and I found their securities attorney. So I did some research and checked him out, and he was out of Washington, D.C. Well, I was in Annapolis, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm going to email this attorney. Dear Kendall Almarico is his name. And he's kind of the godfather of this Regulation A, SEC Regulation A crowdfunding stock offerings. Because he started doing it right from the inception of the SEC program. So I emailed him, and about 20 minutes later, besides that, I'm thinking, oh, he'll never email this back. He probably gets thousands of people emailing him and all that kind of stuff. I emailed him 20 minutes later. He emailed me back, dear Mr. Beal, since I launched BrewDog back in 2012, I've had hundreds and hundreds of breweries from around the world get in touch with me, and I've turned them all down. You guys have the special sauce. I will take you on as a client.
That's awesome.
And boy, I'll tell you what. Yeah, it was awesome. It was a total game changer for the company. So we, he got his team together, and we sorted this all out. So we launched our public stock offering on July 4th of 2021. We timed it that way. And good gracious, the SEC people were even helping us get through their process so that we could launch it on the 4th of July.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, it was so great. It was so American. It was just so awesome. So we launched on July 4th. We made the crazy Dollar Shave Club video that you see Rob, blowing up a toilet and shooting up a alien with a laser gun, and the hot girl with all the different stuff.
Yeah.
And it just started rolling. Anyone in America, you didn't have to be an accredited investor. Anyone in America could invest in our company for a minimum of $200 at $10 a share. So here we are today. We've done exactly what we promised our shareholders. We went out and bought a brewing facility, and we've got this community of over 8,000 patriots from all over the country, all 50 states, that have invested in the company. And 75% of those are military veterans. The other 24% come from a military family. They're a military family member. So that's just super exciting. And we're just going to keep growing and growing and growing that veteran community that we have.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool being at the event and being able to see these investors and meet these people and the reasons why they invested in their stories, and just a super cool event.
Yeah. And Andy, we don't just take your money and say bye to you. You know what I mean? Our shareholders have their own private portal that they can log into. I do almost a weekly video to our shareholders and update them on our progress. We're in touch with them via email. They've taken surveys, and they're the driving force behind this company. They're out there, they're going and buying our beer and getting their friends to buy our beer, and spreading the word about this incredible company that they put their money into. And it's a little different. It's not publicly traded stock, it's not like it's paying dividends, right then and there, but the exit strategy is to go maybe IPO someday, or somebody bigger is going to come along and buy you. But we, our job here is to make the company profitable as soon as possible, so we can pay out those dividends on the stock. It's really a leap of faith. And I'll tell you kind of to supplement the story on BrewDog. I think the company wanted to buy some stock back from their shareholders at one time. There was a story about that went out on the internet. And like 90% of their shareholders said, no, we want to hold on to our stock. They didn't want to sell it back to the company. They're like, no, this is a great thing going. So
Nice.
it's, it's just exciting stuff. And and Andy, and Chris, that was a great event. That was a great event. It was great to get to know our shareholders and have them all convert, or not all of them, but as many as possible converge in that. It was so moving. Kind of got chicken skin just talking about it, the patriotism and the veterans that were there, like you guys, is just awesome.
Yeah, honestly, at that event, like what sold me was that first night, all the speeches from you, from Major Ed was there, and you had McBee was there, and all these guys that I didn't know who these guys were at all. And just their stories and the what they've been through to get to where they are now working with you guys. And honestly, it almost was like the hope that you've given some of these veterans. It was just, it was extremely moving, honestly. It really was. And I literally went back to the hotel and went on my phone and invested, because I'm like, this is what the company is about, and this is what they're doing. This is amazing. Like it was cool. It was very cool.
Absolutely.
Well, and I'll touch on that a little bit. Coming from a military community, my uncle served in Vietnam, and he came back, Purple Heart recipient, major PTSD. He went homeless. He went homeless during the 70s when he got back from Vietnam. My dad had severe PTSD from being on all sorts of deployed missions. And, I understood what was going on.
No.
I had to live with that in my family, and I watched it go on. And I'm gonna say this is the driving force behind my passion for doing this thing. I think it is the most selfless thing for an American like you guys to sign on that dotted line and take that oath that you will give your life for me and my kids and my family and my fellow Americans. It's an incredible gesture, and I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
To go over and die for us and your country if need be. That's incredible. That deserves the utmost respect and acknowledgement in our country. And you guys, you men and women that serve, don't get that respect and that acknowledgement enough. Not only from other Americans, but from our government as well. And I grew up during the Vietnam War when veterans were coming back, and we saw the TV and the people picketing and spitting on veterans and all that kind of crap. I don't ever want to see that again. So we're going to use our success to give back to the veteran and first responder community. I can't tell you how the feeling it was over Christmas of 2022 to work with Code of Vets and get immediate funds over to 2 veterans that were about to go homeless over Christmas. They were getting evicted.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
It is. And everyone in America, it's amazing. We go and spend $60-100 million on election campaigns and shit like that, when that money could be going to lifting veterans out of homelessness, helping them with it just drives me crazy.
Yep.
So we're aligned with the John Daly Major Ed Heart of Lion Foundation. We donate a percentage of our profits from our preamble beer sales to that organization, John Daly the golfer and Major Ed Polito, who you guys got to meet, that are doing great work out there. And we're going to align a new beer called Death from Above, bombs for that's a tribute to the Air Force. We're going to align that with Code of Vets and give back to that organization as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Code of Vets is incredible. Gretchen Smith, she's on our advisory board. She runs a nonprofit with a 2% operating budget, and I got to tell you, it's the most unique nonprofit that I've come across in the country. she's immediately getting funds to these veterans in need right away. Because, when they're in these dire situations, it escalates the PTSD, and we all know what happens when what could happen when that PTSD is escalated because they're in bad economic situations or environmental situations. We got to stop veteran suicide as well. That's why we work closely with Code of Vets as well. It's incredible.
That's awesome. So with what I do, I'm a big advocate of literally everything you just said. We're like the same page on everything. And I do this, I fought really hard with Athlon Outdoors, I'm going to have an article on Armed Forces Brewing, obviously, just about your mission, what you guys are doing in one of their magazines, in Ballistic Magazine. And I fought them really hard on the veteran stuff because it's a firearms publication, but that hits on the lifestyle, I guess. And that lifestyle is the veteran community. I mean, those are the people that are that are picking up this magazine, reading it. And I fought them tooth and nail because I wanted to do a video series. I ended up calling it Home on the Range. And this is what I take out veterans who have a story to tell. And just these guys telling their story is huge. And I literally take them out, not this like sit down, boring interview, because that's not what these guys want to do. They want to go out and do what they do best. And they want to shoot guns and they want to talk about this stuff and have some fun, and you get them in that environment and it's like they just open up, tell you these stories. We had Marcus Mincotti, who's the Armed Forces, happens to be your apparel model. And he's just an incredible guy with an incredible story.
Do a show just talking about his.
Oh man, he's amazing. I'm honored to call that guy my friend now. And I did the first Home on the Range video with him, and it was a huge success. And I heard from him later on just how cool it was for him to be able to do that. And he doesn't have too many PTSD issues himself. He's gotten through a lot of that, but he was like, just to be able to tell my story and hope that helps another vet down the road somewhere is just a huge, huge advantage. So it's really cool being, involved with you guys now and being able to talk about armed forces to these guys and introduce them to that and all this stuff. I got another Home on the Range coming up with Cash, who is also, I know, a little bit involved with armed forces. So
a lot of it,
because man, he's a character, that's for sure. So
definitely going to be a good episode.
That one's going to be a fun one. But
well, that's part of the deal. Our veterans need to tell their stories.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. A lot of them do. They need to, matter of fact, some of them need to open up a little bit more and tell their stories, but they also need to not be sitting at home, as they transition out, sitting at home doing nothing.
Yep.
We got to get them out of that dull, boring environment and get them out in activities with their fellow veterans or whatever. Get them out working. Get them out to, events. We like to go shooting,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of sitting at home and we want to, that's why our goal is to be 70% veteran employee. We want to open up jobs.
Yeah.
I'll use tap handles as an example. We're going to be making thousands of tap handles. Well, I'm tired of going to a company over in Portland to make tap handles when I could go get a warehouse, hire some veterans, get the equipment, the equipment to make tap handles ourselves and create jobs, whatever those. Awesome. Hiring boots on the ground salespeople, bring that stuff in the house under Armed Forces Brewing Company and make our own stuff. That's our goal.
That's awesome. I love it.
And we're big two-way advocates too.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do love your ink there too. That's pretty awesome. That just shows the commitment that Alan Beal has to the Armed Forces. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Without a doubt.
I know you're a busy man,
Absolutely.
so I'm going to let you get about your day, but I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you guys, honestly.
Absolutely.
Growth.
Yeah.
Big growth. we're just getting started. We've got some big announcements coming up later on in the coming months as well. I can't say right now, top secret. But we're just going to keep scaling out and open up those states and get up to your guys' neck of the woods as well.
Perfect.
I can't wait.
We're getting there, man.
I'm tired of buying Canadian beer.
What now?
I'm tired of buying Canadian beer because it's all we can get out here other than
They do a good job.
Bud Light.
I can't complain about it. 'Cause even when I did drink beer, I didn't drink American
they
water.
do make good
anyways.
beer, but it's not American made beer.
No.
So
We'll get up there, and I want to thank you guys for having me on, and thanks for your service, especially you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
for sure.
Seriously.
If anybody wants to invest in armed forces, where do they go? I'm going to put a link up too.
Yeah. So they can go to www.ownarmedforcesbrewingco.com. Ownarmedforcesbrewingco.com. And it's a secure process. There's a whole monitored, encrypted backend on that our dealer broker's monitoring. It's super easy. Take you 5 to 10 minutes to do. Super easy.
Sweet.
Perfect.
Well, I
And
appreciate
join
it.
our company.
Heck yeah.
Right on, man.
I appreciate it. We'll let you go, like I said, and I can't wait to see what else you guys are doing.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks
All right,
so
man.
much.
Have a good one.